If you want to understand how public infrastructure is being mismanaged in New Brunswick, you have to look past the official press releases and start connecting the dots. Today we are looking at three massive files: our energy grid, our healthcare records, and our public safety. In every single case, the official narrative tells one story, but the fine print reveals a completely different reality. Let's start with the grid. NB Power is currently trying to fast-track a second multi-billion-dollar natural gas plant. They tell us it's an absolute emergency, that an 11% population boom and freezing winter cold snaps mean the province is facing imminent power shortages. They claim green alternatives are too expensive, so we must lock ourselves into decades of fossil fuel infrastructure. But here is the first major contradiction. While the government tells everyday citizens to prepare for brownouts, they are simultaneously pushing forward with a massive hyperscale AI data center at the Spruce Lake Industrial Park. How much power does that single private data center need? 200 megawatts. Coincidentally, that is the exact same scale as the controversial modular natural gas plant they are trying to rush through in Lorneville. The government claims this brings economic opportunity. But the reality? We are building dirty, expensive gas plants to feed private tech infrastructure, while local taxpayers watch their utility rates skyrocket to cover the bill. Worse yet, the project is slated to drain an amount of water equivalent to 1.5 local aquatic pools every single day, just to keep these servers cool. NB Power executives are so desperate to bypass oversight that they didn't even provide proper financial documentation to the legislature before trying to skip normal regulatory reviews. Why the rush? Because, as the Auditor General revealed, NB Power screwed up a previous deal so badly they might owe a private American firm an $855 million penalty fee. This isn't a grid crisis, it's a financial cover-up. If you think the energy sector lacks oversight, look at what's happening to your private medical history. On June 30th, the province is transitioning its eVisit New Brunswick services from a private corporation called Maple over to a multinational called Foundever. The government promised a seamless transition for the thousands of patients who rely on this service, but during recent testimony, Health Minister John Dornan admitted something staggering. The government signed a healthcare contract that completely failed to secure the data. There is no agreement in place to automatically transfer patient medical histories from the old provider to the new one. Instead of accountability, the government has placed the burden entirely on you. If everyday New Brunswickers don't log in and manually download their own medical files before the June 30th deadline, their histories could disappear into a private corporate void. Public infrastructure is supposed to protect public assets, yet our own health records are being treated like an afterthought in corporate negotiations. Finally, we see this exact same pattern of deflecting blame when we look at public safety. St. John Police Chief Robert Bruce recently went before the Board of Police Commissioners to address a massive crisis. 21% of the city's police force is currently out on leave. The chief's official narrative? He claimed it has nothing to do with internal friction, stating publicly that "I don't like the chief" is not a valid reason to be on leave. But let's poke a hole in that framing. By mocking the idea of internal discontent, leadership is actively dodging systemic workplace issues. The reality is that multiple officers have filed lawsuits demanding a judge reopen workplace harassment and toxic environment complaints that were previously dismissed. When a fifth of your entire workforce is on leave under strict WorkSafe New Brunswick trauma and PTSD criteria, it isn't a series of isolated incidents. It is a clear sign of systemic management failure being swept under the rug. Whether it's handing our power grid over to tech companies, failing to secure our medical data, or blaming frontline workers for management failures, the pattern is identical: a total lack of transparency, a refusal to accept oversight, and an expectation that the public will just quietly accept the consequences. We don't accept the official narrative. We look at the facts. This is the Canadian Citizens Journal. Stay informed, ask questions, and hold them accountable.